Hi, I'm Brian, and I'd like to welcome you to this edition of ZR Examiner. In this series, I'm going to be looking into climate change. In this, part one of the series, I'm going to focus on the reasons why I believe that there's absolutely nothing we can do to change it. Now, if you stay with me throughout the video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's not an endorsement for harmful environmental practices in any way. It's simply scientific proof that no matter what type of energy source we end up using, climate change is going to occur one way or another and in drastic forms. So stay with me, and I hope we all learn some valuable information. Probably the largest factor affecting climate on Earth is its orbit around the sun. You need to realize, number one, that the energy that we receive from the sun changes constantly. The Earth doesn't always receive the same amount of energy in any given period of time. That's big factor number one. Big factor number two is the way the Earth orbits around the sun. It doesn't orbit in a perfect circle. It orbits in a kind of an egg shape. Okay. It also it's also tilted on its axis. Okay, and it wobbles a little bit. So it's not just a perfect, unseeming, ride around the sun. It's There's a lot going on. The Earth wobbles. Earthquakes, huge earthquakes, can change the tilt of the Earth, the wobble, the spin. All of that affects the amount of energy we receive from the sun. The next thing you need to realize is that, all right, people know we've been through an ice age. All right, is that we've been through five in the last 2 billion years. All of them, well, except for this last one, before humans. Okay, technically speaking, we're still in an ice age. We're in what is called the interglacial period. That period is lasts a lot, not as long as the actual ice age itself, but it's the period after the ice age where the Earth begins to warm up and the glaciers begin to melt. Now, even during those periods, there are temperature changes. Okay, 12,800 years ago, the temperature of the Earth dropped by as much as 20 degrees and then rose again 1,300 years ago, and regained that 20-degree loss. This has happened, what was it? What did I say it was? 24 times in the past 100,000 years. Okay? So these temperature changes happen independently of humans. They always have, and they always will. Next on the list is a process called thermohaline circulation, the Great Ocean Conveyor Belt. This is the process where warm water and cold water are exchanged in the ocean and recirculated on a global scale. The Earth is covered 75% water. It is the Earth's single largest source of terrestrial energy, which means huge factor in temperature and climate. Now, anything that changes the density of ocean water will affect this circulation pattern. Melting glaciers will dump more cold water into the ocean. All right, cold water is basically heavier than warm water. It will sink to the bottom and force warm water to the surface. Warm water will release that heat, excess heat, into the atmosphere, warming the planet. Okay, that's a huge game player. So anything that affects this circulation, this conveyor belt, is going to have an effect on our climate. What can change that? Um, how about the fact that our continents, North America, South America, Asia, they're all still moving. They're not sitting still. They're moving. You don't notice it until you have an earthquake, but they're moving. Our North American continent is moving to the west southwest at right around an inch a year. That means, in essence, that the Pacific Ocean is getting smaller, while the Atlantic Ocean is getting larger. That is going to affect the way the ocean conveyor belt works. It's going to have an effect. The simple change in longitude and latitude of the continents is going to have a change. So there you go. I mean, those are several good reasons to bear in mind when you try to blame mankind for climate change. We're not 100% responsible, and we never will be, because no matter how clean we get, the earth is going to change, and not necessarily to our benefit. So just bear this in mind when the eco-friendly people start trying to push climate change and clean energy into your future. Do your homework. That's all I'm saying. I hope you enjoyed this video. Part 2 coming up.